Will Malik Beasley play in the NBA this year? In today's episode, we'll break down why he's not completely out of the woods just yet. We'll discuss this new update in today's episode, Locked on Pistons podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked on Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked on Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Ku Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for the Locked on Network, been a credential media member over the last 3 years, and I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked on Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms, and if you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked on Pistons. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. In today's episode, we'll be discussing who is the most likely Detroit Piston to break out this season. And then also, Bleacher Report came out with their Mount Rushmore for each team since the 2000s. In today's episode, I'll give you guys my Mount Rushmore for the Detroit Pistons since 2000. It's gonna be a fun segment. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel like that one should be kind of a gimme. I saw this was a little bit of an argument in the Pistons community about who should be on the Mount Rushmore. To me, I don't feel like it's really much of a conversation, to be honest. But we're gonna start off with the news surrounding Malik Beasley. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, you guys will see that I do have a whole new background. I did completely change around the setup for the recording studio. It's nowhere near done, but you guys will notice if you guys are wondering why. Ku, did you move? No, we're just rearranging stuff, adding new stuff. By the time the season starts up, it'll be a whole new thing. You guys will enjoy it. Also, reason why we didn't have an episode over the last 2 days, my lights broke. Had to go wait for some lights to be delivered to me. Got the lights here now. Last quality of life thing for you guys. We are now down to 3 days a week until the season starts up. I'm going to try to get you guys 5 episodes a week. But at the very least, you guys will always get 3 episodes a week from me until the season starts up. Now, let's get into the Malik Beasley news. So last week, I recorded an episode on Friday because we got a big update. We got a big Shams Charania update tweet sent to my phone about Malik Beasley no longer being the target of this gambling investigation that ruined his offseason. Went from being no doubt $40 million contract guy for the Detroit Pistons, a 3-year, $40 million contract, to is he even going to play in the NBA this year? Is he going to get banned from the NBA? What's going on? His whole offseason was ruined, and his financial future stability was ruined this past summer because of this gambling investigation. Now, last week on Friday, we did get an update from Shams that said he was no longer a target. And I came on here, I provided an update for it, talked about other teams that still have cap space that could go get Malik Beasley, teams that can offer him more money than than the Detroit Pistons can offer Malik Beasley, and whether there is even a spot left for Malik Beasley in this rotation after the offseason the Detroit Pistons have. If you guys want all of that stuff, you guys can watch the last episode. You guys will get an in-depth breakdown for all of that. But I come back today to talk about this because I'm reading an article here from Front Office Sports where I saw a lot of people say the word, and even I think I included it in the title of last video, but I kind of specified it a little bit more during the episode if you listened. But I've seen a lot of people say he's been cleared of all charges, he's free, he is still free, he was never not free, but he was cleared of all charges and doesn't have to worry about this anymore, and he's going to be back in the league, blah, blah, blah. That is not the case according to Front Office Sports. Beasley, the quote is, and I made sure to put a lot of emphasis on this last episode, he's no longer the target of this investigation, which is good news. However, more reporting says, quote, let me make sure I get this correctly here, Beasley is still considered a subject of the investigation, according to a source with knowledge of it. The Department of Justice defines a subject as a person whose conduct is within the scope of the grand jury's investigation, which means Beasley could still be charged with a crime, something his lawyers have acknowledged. And one of his attorneys, Steve Haney, said, quote, I have no idea. That is the furthest thing. You live in a state of purgatory with a cloud hanging over your head for what? Forever? And you're out of the league and can never play basketball again. So, as of right now, end quote, as of right now, Malik Beasley's situation got a positive update. You hope that he's able to play this year. You hope that he's, all this stuff, goes away he's innocent of this stuff, like for the best for him and for, you just hope that he's innocent and none of this stuff ends up bringing him down at all. But to say that he is completely cleared would be incorrect. He is still a subject. He's just no longer the target. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a lawyer and I understand all this kind of stuff. But what this says to me, which they mentioned in this article, is that obviously Beasley could still be charged with something. And I wonder if that, even though he's not the target, I wonder if even though he's simply a subject still, is that something that could, how much, what does it mean to be a subject? Like how in depth or how involved are you if you're just a subject of the investigation? Like, what does that mean? Like, would the NBA, like, could he be charged with something that could still send the NBA to suspending him or banning him? Because we saw how serious they take the gambling stuff. Could he still get suspended? Will teams be interested in him now, even though he's not the target, but he's just a subject of the investigation? Is this a good enough position where a team like the Pistons or any other team would like to move forward with Malik Beasley? Like, as of right now, it's still very murky, I would say. Like, I don't think we have a clear answer for anything yet. And I would be shocked if we saw any, like, news until we got another update with the investigation. I'd be shocked if we got an update in regards to his next NBA team and next NBA contract. But I just want to say this real quickly. Moving away from, the Piston side of this, if Malik Beasley eventually does become just cleared, just of everything, and he ends up not getting charged with anything, and all this was about nothing. He was good. He didn't have anything to do with anything. They're investigating, whatever. If that is the case, boy, do I feel bad for Malik Beasley. Like, I like that would be, he has lost out on a lot of money this offseason. Not only has he lost out on a lot of money this offseason, he has been attacked a lot by a lot of people. He's been attacked by personalities. He's been attacked by analysts. He's been attacked by fans, even though I think the fans portion of it is more so just trolling going on, you want to be honest. But he has been attacked. He's had his character talked about. All of that along, again, emphasis on this, he had a $42 million contract lined up for him from the Detroit Pistons. That's no longer there now. So he's suffered financially. He's suffering with his character being talked about in the public, in the media. If he did nothing and this was all for nothing, I wonder if there's anything he can do about that. Like, I just wonder if that's something Malik Beasley could take action against. Because this has ruined his offseason. And however long this investigation takes, it's going to ruin however much longer it takes, whatever. Like, I feel if he is cleared of everything, he is innocent, and all this goes away, I feel bad. I feel so bad for Malik. But sadly, even though we did get that positive update this past week, he is not completely cleared. It still seems like his situation is just murky at best. And I don't know if simply going from the target to the subject, to a subject of the investigation, is enough to make NBA teams feel confident enough to invest guaranteed dollars, a roster spot to him at this point. Maybe we get another update over the next week or so, or, hopefully over the next week or so. Hopefully we get an update soon. Maybe a team does sign him. Maybe the Pistons sign him. Who knows? But I did want to come on here and make sure I clarified for everyone listening, everyone following this, is that he is not completely cleared. He's still subject to the investigation, and according to sources and his lawyers, he could still be charged with a crime. We just don't know what that could be and what he's a subject of at this point. And it's very confusing. We don't know anything right now, so we kind of just in the same. Without we got a positive update, but we're kind of still in the same. At least to me, it feels like, situation we were a month ago, where we just don't know what his future holds right now. Maybe not. Maybe the situation isn't as bad as we maybe thought, but we're still in the same position of what's his future look like? Is he, does this clear a way for him to now sign? Will the team want to sign him? Like, what's going on? So we don't know yet. We don't have an update on this yet. We have to wait and see. Again, this is a very, unfortunate situation. If Malik Beasley is innocent of everything, I feel so bad for him. But let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. How you guys feel about this update with Malik Beasley? Do you guys think an NBA team will end up signing him despite him going from a target to a subject and still technically could be charged with something? Would you like the Pistons to still go out and sign him? What's your thoughts on all of this? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Coming up, who is the most likely Detroit Piston to break out this year? We'll talk about that coming up. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA, for 50% off your first year at Monarch Money. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That is another great way to support the podcast. And before we move any further, we have an important request. As you guys who are watching on YouTube, you guys can see at the bottom of the screen, scan that QR code. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners. What makes your favorite podcast even better? This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, again, you can just scan the QR code down below, right under the bottom of the screen. Right, where is it? Right here. You can find it right there. Scan that, fill out the survey, and heck, maybe you guys win a $100 Amazon gift card. But we also will really appreciate all the answers from you guys. But let's go ahead and get into the next subject. Breakout players for the Detroit Pistons. Bleacher Report put out an article recently going through the breakout players for each team. And if you haven't read Bleacher Report's article, I want you guys to tell me your guess on who you think they picked down below before I even say it right now. Like, pause the video, pause the podcast, comment down below in the YouTube section, comment down below in one of the ratings, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Let me know who you guys think they picked to be the Pistons breakout player this upcoming year. I'll give you guys a few seconds to do that, see how many of you guys get it right. And then I'm going to give who I believe is the most likely to break out for the Detroit Pistons this year. But Bleacher Report decided, and they said it was Ausar Thompson. They talked about how Ausar only played in 22 minutes a game, that he made a lot of improvements in his second year, and going into an offseason where he's actually going to be able to train and have an offseason, have a preseason, have a training camp, all that good stuff. And going into this season, being able to play 30 minutes a game, they expect him to be the breakout player for the Detroit Pistons. And I think this comes to no shock of any of you guys. I completely agree. I don't need to go through and list all the numbers again for how this team turned around from January 1st to the end of the year. I don't have to talk about how the team was dominant in Ausar Thompson's minutes, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs. I don't have to talk about how his on-off in the playoffs was one of the best in the entire playoffs. I don't need to talk about how great he is defensively. I don't need to talk about how great he is or how insanely historically elite his athleticism is. I don't need to talk about all that, because I think you guys understand that. I will just echo the points of what Bleacher Report brought up, because I think that's the main argument here, is that what Ausar Thompson was able to do this past year was done in the middle of a season he was dropped into, where it was very clear he didn't have his full, stamina rating. For those of you guys who played 2K, his stamina rating wasn't at 99. You saw the little Gatorade bar popping up after 6-7 minutes of play, because he didn't have an offseason, didn't have a training camp, he wasn't able to play himself into shape. All that's because he was dealing with the blood clot situation, because he wasn't able to have an offseason. And he was still able to do what he did this past year for the Pistons, which was impact them the most of any player not named Cade Cunningham when it comes to wins and losses, and completely change their defense. I've said this stat thousands of times. I'll keep saying it. The Pistons had the 28th ranked defense in December. Ausar Thompson gets inserted into the starting lineup, and the rest of the year, after January 4th, the Pistons have the 7th best defense in the NBA. And if you take out the last few games where they rested some guys, they would have had the 3rd or 4th best defense in the NBA. That's without an offseason, without any of that. This year, he is going to have an offseason. He's had an offseason. He's putting on muscle. He's put on some strength. His stamina will get back to what we saw from him his rookie year and what we saw from him in OTE. His stamina was his ability to just go all out at all times and not ever be tired was one of the things I loved about him coming out of OTE, and one of the things Pistons fans loved about him his rookie year. And you just didn't get to see that this past year. You're going to get to see it this upcoming year. And you look at the numbers that Ausar put up this past year, 10 points a game, nothing crazy, but he did those numbers were averaging just 22 minutes a game. Up those minutes at 30 minutes a game, what are we looking at? Like, I think Ausar this year, we'll eventually do player previews, obviously, for this upcoming year. We're not going to get there yet. We'll probably start those next month. I think that would probably be a good start date, probably the beginning of next month. With the season starting up in October, preseason in October. Probably be smart to do it around next month, I would say. Maybe like 2 weeks from now. But anyways, not to get too far into that, Ausar playing 30-plus minutes a night, like, is it crazy to think that he could be 14 to 15 points a game, 6 to 7 rebounds a game, 3 to 4 assists a game, 2 steals, a block a game? Like, and that might even be undercutting him. But could he do that? Yeah, I think he could if he played 30 minutes a night. And he was, at his peak self the full year because he actually had an offseason. So, yeah, I think Ausar is going to make a jump this year. I think Ausar is going to have a fantastic year. I think he's going to be really, really, really good. My hot take that I had a few episodes ago with the Woodward guys, my guys Easy and Spencer, was I thought Ausar Thompson is going to make the leap into a top 50 NBA player this year. I think he will be one this year. Because of his defense, I think his offense will catch up a little bit. I think he's really, really going to have a great year, guys. I am completely bought in on his season this upcoming year. And if he does take this leap, the Pistons will make this jump that a lot of fans want them to make. Especially if Ausar makes this leap, man. I think he's going to have a great year. But some other options for a breakout player for the Detroit Pistons. Don't think Cade qualifies for this anymore. Last year was his breakout, so Cade can't be an answer here. Obviously, I think the two other guys is Jaden, Ivey, and Jaden during that immediately pop. But if you want to be honest, I feel like there's a sneaky answer here, which I don't think will be the first name that a lot of Pistons fans go to. I'm sure some fans will eventually get there, but I think Ron Holland. Look, I wrote about this with a Substack earlier in the offseason. The Pistons, from what I understood early in the offseason, they want to see some minutes of Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland, and they are very high on Ron Holland. And Ron Holland's jumper looked better in Summer League. Now, it is just Summer League. I'm not reading too much into it at all. My simple point is that he is going to see an increased role. They want him to take on this increased role. They want him to keep taking minutes from whoever it is. They want him to keep earning his spot. And we saw just in limited minutes how good of a slasher, how good of a finisher, his incredible touch, anywhere under 10 feet from the rim. He has incredible touch with either hand. He's ferocious going to the rim, very aggressive, can finish through contact, over guys, through guys. He's a very, very good slasher already. You saw that already in his game. And I don't think he's not as good of a defender as Ausar is. I don't think he's as good of a defender as Stu is either. But he's going to be a good defender, and he's going to be a defender that likes to get in likes to make people agitated, and get under their skin. And he's a very aggressive defender as well. He's going to have an impact in that end of the floor because of that, because of his physicality, his length, his athleticism, his size. He's also going to be very good in transition. I think Ausar and Ron. I think those two guys could really make a jump this year. And I think if those two guys make a jump, I think that really changes. If the Pistons are able to have two wings that can play together, there are two-way guys, hyper-athletic guys that can get to the basket. Like, that's what the NBA is now in 2025. You want multiple guys that are two-way players, athletic with size and length on the wings. That's what you want. And if Ron's able to make that jump this year, now, again, I'm not expecting it because I don't think that's fair. He's very young. He's a raw prospect. He looked improved in summer league, but he's putting all that on year 2, I think would be unfair. I'm just saying, if it were to happen, if he were to break out this year, the Pistons with him and Ausar, that would be huge for them. Absolutely big time. Absolutely big time. Especially if he improves a little bit with his jump shot. But just getting increased minutes and allowing him to, have the ball in his hands a little bit more. Allow him, tell him, we want you to score. We want you to drive. We are looking for you to be one of our scorers off the bench. That's what we want from you. I just wonder what he could do this year. So I think he's a sneaky answer, Ron Holland. And if he does take a jump, I think he would have a big impact on the Pistons win-loss. But then, obviously, like I said, the two popular names I think you're going to hear from a lot of Pistons fans is Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. And for Jalen Duren, what a breakout would look like, I think, is just becoming a legit elite defender, which I think is just going to be hard to do. I don't think he's going to be given the option, or not the option. He's not going to be given the role or the usage to become like this offensive engine, this offensive monster. I kind of feel like, and I'm sure some people are going to look at this as like a slight, even though I don't think it's a slight. Like, I think Jalen Duren's going to be pretty similar to what he was last year with minor improvements, which is fine. Like, I'm not expecting Duren to go become a 20 and 15 guy. Like, I don't think that's, what he is going to become. Like, that's at least not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting him to be most of what he was last year after January 1st. Just be that for the full year. And then be trusted to run some offense like he was at the end of last year. Run a lot of the DHOs to him. Start to see them run a little bit more inverted pick and rolls. Him handling the ball. Maybe averaging a little bit more assists. Maybe closer to like 3.5 assists. Something like that. But that's mostly who he already is. So I don't know like what a breakout would look like for Jalen Duren. Because I don't know. But Jaden Ivey, I think, is going to be the most popular answer for Pistons fans. Because he is very loved by the fan base. And a lot of people thought that he was breaking out last year before he went down with injury. Now, if he comes in this year and he's averaging 24 points a game, 23 points a game, yeah, he'll be the breakout guy. Can he do it? We'll wait to see. Can that shooting that we saw this past year when he was shooting 40% from deep, can that translate along with him in becoming a legit finisher at the rim, improving as a finisher, improving as a decision maker in the in-between game? If he does that, a hyper athletic 2-guard that is a scorer, a really good off-ball player that is able to now finish at the rim and make you pay from deep, that is a guy who could be a real threat and could really break out as a scorer and score 21, 22 plus per game. Could he do it? Sure. We'll see if he can. But my sneaky 2 options that I'm going before even Ivey or Duren is Ausar 1, and I'm going with Ron 2. I think a Ron jump would be tremendous for this team this year. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, I'm not necessarily putting it as his expectation because it's only year 2 and he's very young, but I don't think it's impossible. And we'll see. I'm really excited for Ron Holland year 2. So let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Who do you guys think is going to break out this year for the Detroit Pistons? Most likely break out. Give me your order. Give me 5 guys. 4 or 5 guys that you think are going to break out for the Pistons. To put them in order of the most likely. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put in most likely order. Let me know. Comment section down below or over on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. They have comment sections now over on the podcast platforms. Don't know if you guys know that, but go in the comment section and let me know what you guys are thinking. But coming up, I'm going to give my Mount Rushmore for the Detroit Pistons since 2000. So no Zeke, no Joe D, no Bill Laimbeer, all the old guys. This is since 2000. I'll give you guys what my Mount Rushmore is coming up. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. But to wrap up today's episode, Bleacher Report came out with a Mount Rushmore for each NBA team since 2000. So you had to play for this team from 2000 on. Anyone before 2000 does not count. Again, like I said earlier, no Isaiah Thomas, no Joe Dumars, not even Grant Hill I'm counting. Like Bill Laimbeer, any of these guys from the John Sadler, whoever, Dennis Rodman, whoever you're thinking of, those guys are not included. I saw who Bleacher Report picked, And I saw that there were Pistons fans that were upset. Like a lot of Pistons fans were upset, I saw in the community, because Bleacher Report did not have Cade Cunningham on the Pistons Mount Rushmore. They had Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, and Tayshaun Prince as the Pistons Mount Rushmore. And Pistons fans thought that Cade Cunningham should be on there. Is Cade a better player than those guys? He's definitely a better player than Rip and Tayshaun. I think there's some people that may argue that Chauncey could be a better player than Cade. Both of the Chauncey and Ben are Hall of Famers. So, I think those three guys are in this, I don't think it would be insane to say one of those guys is better than Cade, but I also don't think it would be insane if you feel like Cade is now becoming better than them. But they're in the same, I guess you could say the same tier, guys, for the Pistons, I guess. What would my Mount Rushmore look like? It would look very similar to what Bleacher Report had theirs. I would have Chauncey on mine, 100%. Chauncey, obviously. I'm having Ben on mine. My difference is I'm going to have Rasheed. I'm going to have Rasheed Wallace on my Mount Rushmore, so that's 3. And then the 4th guy that I'm going to have on my Mount Rushmore is Rip Hamilton. I'm not putting Cade on the Mount Rushmore either. For this, I'm kind of shocked that this has become, like, there were Pistons fans that wanted Cade on there. I'm kind of shocked about that. For this reason and one reason only, and I think this would be very clear. Those guys won an NBA championship. These guys, again, they won a championship. They beat Kobe and Shaq. The last Pistons championship was these guys. The last dominance that Pistons fans saw, actually, I take that back. The only dominance that Pistons fans have felt since 2000 were from these guys. 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals. Back-to-back NBA Finals appearances in 2004 and 2005. An NBA championship in 2004. 2 of them are Hall of Famers. All of them. Actually, I take that back. I think Ben. Some of them weren't there for all of them, but they were there for the majority of the Eastern Conference Finals appearances. They are known as the going-to-work team. If you talk about the Pistons since 2000, I promise you will see the picture of all of them wearing the Ben Wallace afro, and they will say that's the most memorable, Detroit Piston team. That is easy. Like I'm kind of shocked that this is even a conversation. Will Cade eventually make the Pistons Mount Rushmore since 2000? Yeah, 100%. Like we all hope so, and he's the talented player that will get on there. They have to have some playoff success, and I think we will eventually see Cade have some good playoff success with the Pistons, and hopefully they do win a championship with Cade. My expectation is that Cade ends up making the Pistons all-time Mount Rushmore. I think he's that talented. Everyone knows how much I love Cade, how good I think Cade is and will be. Like, again, I don't think it's just 2000. I think he will eventually be on the Pistons Mount Rushmore of all time. But as of right now, since 2000, Ben won a championship and multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards with the Detroit Pistons. Chauncey won the Finals MVP in 2004 and was I would argue, the face of the Detroit Pistons of the 2000s. Rip was the leading scorer for the Pistons. Isn't Rip still the Pistons' leading playoff scorer? Like, those guys are cemented. Now, like the 4th spot, I guess people will try to make the argument for Cade over Tayshaun or Sheed. I would allow him the spot over Tayshaun for this reason. I've never been as high on Tayshaun as everybody else. I don't think Tayshaun was an all-star level player. I think Cade, obviously Cade is, but I think Rip was, obviously. I think Chauncey was. I think Ben was. And I think Rasheed might have been the most talented player on that roster. And I think Rasheed, if he played for anywhere else, he would have had, he still had all-star appearances, but I think he would have had even more personal accolades if he played for anywhere else, but he sacrificed to win championships and dominate as a team, which they did. So Tayshaun, I would understand, but Rasheed's on mine. Again, I think Rasheed might have been the most talented player on that team, and they don't win that championship without Rasheed. And he was a part of those teams that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals over and over and over again. Like, just because he left and ended up playing for, Boston after, like, that doesn't change. And he played for Portland and before. You don't have to spend your whole career with the Pistons to be on this Mount Rushmore. Those guys won an NBA championship. Those guys were a part of the only dominant teams that we have seen from the Pistons since 2000. They are all recognized and respected by almost everyone in the NBA universe. Like, everyone respects Rasheed, Chauncey, Rip, Ben, even Tayshaun. Like, Larry Brown, the coach. Like, if you want to put a coach on there, it's obviously Larry Brown. Like, these guys, when you win a championship, that cements you. Like, you are, like, I don't know, I don't feel like it was really an argument. When Cade eventually has playoff success, when Cade gets this team to an Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even that would be enough to get him on there. When he wins a championship. We're not just talking since 2000. Once he makes the NBA Finals, I'm putting Cade on the Pistons all-time Mount Rushmore. Like that's all that needs to happen for that. But as of right now, one playoff series versus guys who either all of them have a championship. One of them leads the team in scoring. One of them is arguably the greatest defensive player of all time. One of them has a Finals MVP, and one of them is the most talented of all of them. I don't see how you can't put Cade over them, man. You can't do that yet. One day we will. One day in the future, it will happen. I promise it will, but we don't need to rush to it. Let's not disrespect those guys and what they did for this team and what they have hanging up in Little Caesars Arena, which is a banner. And their numbers, Chauncey and Ben and Rip's numbers is hanging up. I'll go ahead and say it right now. I would retire Rasheed's number. Now, I know Rasheed and the ownership, it sounds like they had some beef. He's not on the greatest of terms with the Pistons, which really sucks. But I'm putting Sheed's number up there. Like, Sheed's number would be up there for me. Honestly, you guys know this. I have went on rants about this, about how I don't think that just any player should be retired up into the NBA for teams' jerseys. Like when Tony Allen had his jersey retired without being an all-star or winning a championship or even making the finals just for vibes, I was furious. Like I went on a whole rant about it on Locked In NBA. So I am one of those people. But that starting five is probably the most recognizable starting five. They are constantly referred to the team that won without a real star. Like, those five guys, to me, probably should be in the rafters. I'm not going to lie. At least Rasheed. Rasheed, I think they should all be up there. So anyways, my point is, Cade will get there. He will eventually be there, and he will eventually be on the Pistons all-time Mount Rushmore. And eventually, he will have his number retired in the Pistons rafters. But that's not yet. Let's not rush to it. So let me know what you guys think. Pistons Mount Rushmore. Who should be on there since 2000? Should Cade be on there? Or do you guys agree with me? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everybody.